This podcast is brought to you in part by the support of the AMTV patrons. Thank you. Hello everybody and welcome back to AMTV Radio, the podcast where I'm joined by a very special guest each time and we talk about, well, whatever the hell we want to. And for today's guest, it's probably the most special guest of all, and I'm not just saying that because she's my girlfriend, it's because I love her very, very much. Introducing actor, singer, writer, everythinger, Rebecca Phythian. Hello.
Hiya.
You all right?
That was a very, very good introduction. Yeah, I'm all right.
Good.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. For anyone listening, this is probably going to be like the most, I'd say like, I like to keep these things casual, but this is probably going to be the most casual episode of the podcast ever, in the best way, of course, because as you know from listening, with a lot of my guests, like I'm meeting them sort of face to face for the first time when we record these, whereas with you, I know you are. I've known you for years.
Yeah, quite literally years. Like it's going on 7 years now.
Blimey. 7 years. Good luck, everybody. And so, Becca, I mean, you have appeared on the channel before. I've given you a shout out a few times. You appeared on the Sunday Catch-Up not too long ago, much to everyone's delight. But for anyone who still isn't too familiar with you or your work, just give us a bit of a summary breakdown. Who are you and what do you do?
Who am I? So I'm Rebecca Phythian, or Becca. I prefer Becca, not Becky. If you call me Becky, I will not answer. I'm from Manchester. I'm an actor, singer, poet, everything like you said. I just do loads really. Like I write poetry. I run my own theatre company.
You do?
That's Blue Balloon Theatre. I just do a bit of everything.
You do. That's a good summary for you. You try your hand at everything, which is fantastic. And I mean, We've got so much to talk about today. I mean, we'll probably talk about your stuff for YouTube, your career as an actor, possibly some memories we've had together, some questions from the viewing public. There's a lot to kick off with, but I guess I'll start with, the medium that this is going out on mainly, which is YouTube. So I guess, again, for anyone who isn't familiar with your channel, tell us what made you want to start a channel and what sort of inspired the different kinds of content you've put on there? Because, when you look, there is quite a variety of different videos on there, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it started out as just singing videos. I think I was uploading them when I was like 14, 15. And then I sort of reached an age where I might need YouTube for professional stuff that I do, like my acting show reel or singing reel. And I thought, not that I'm ashamed of this stuff, but I think I need to sort of refine the kind of things I put on there. Mm-hmm. It might, I might be singing for fun, but ultimately it's going out to such a wide audience that I'm not just doing it for myself anymore. So it's that thing of, knowing it was going to be a little bit more kind of professional from my end and not just because it was there. And then I started to upload like my show reels, my singing reels, and I started doing a lot more like covers of modern songs, pop songs, musical theatre, opera. And then I think I said to you, I was like, I want to delve into things that I'm equally as passionate about, just to see how it goes really. So that was when I started to create content about vegan and cruelty-free products, more ethical ways of living. I do a lot of various blogs, things about mental health. There's a proper mix on there now, but I kind of like it. There's stuff about plants. because why not? I'm a proud plant mum of 5 now, so it's it had to be talked about, really.
Oh, of course.
But yeah, it's one of those things, like, I never expected when I really started last year, and which was during lockdown. I never expected it to go this far. I never expected to enjoy creating videos, editing, and, you know, uploading them as much as I do now. So yeah, we'll see where it goes in the future.
Yeah, I think we're all like that to begin with, aren't we? We never expect our channels to go where they go, because I think a lot of us, and I'm sure anyone who's listening or watching who does YouTube as well will attest to this, is, you know, a lot of the times we do it, like you say, either just to indulge in your passions, or we do it just for fun, and then it just sort of skyrockets from there. I mean, I'd argue you're in a great position. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, but when you're starting out, it's so difficult," and it is in some respects. But I'd argue it's also the time when I think you can be sort of the most creative, because I think
Yeah.
I've said to you, like, YouTube. I mean, the way YouTube's a very broken website, and I mean, like, you know, with all the algorithms and stuff, like putting certain things in feeds to help boost like your views and stuff. But I'd argue when you're starting out, or when you're in the early days, like you are, you can just have that freedom to make whatever you want. There's less of that pressure, shall we say? Would you agree with that? Or
No, I would agree with that. I think I'm quite, I mean, I do to an extent care what people think, but ultimately I create the content that I'm passionate about, and I know that it's going out there for other people. So I always say, like, if you enjoy this video, great. That means that I've used this platform in a way that can, you know, that is good for you, for people out there, and that's great. But I think, like, every other week I'll just create a new video that's completely different from ones I've made before, and it's quite freeing in a way. I I think the other thing as well is it's kind of allowed me to connect with people that I've never met before. I think you'll find this as well. Like, I've connected with people over YouTube, and they're nowhere near me in the world, but their content is sort of similar to mine, and yeah, it's just a really nice sort of feeling, that sense of community.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Just building up with different people who you might never meet in person, but like you end up forming this bond and this friendship, which is something quite special, really, isn't it? But so I mean that's an overview, guys. If you like singing, if you like plants, if you want to learn about vegan and cruelty-free things, if any of that interests you, I mean, I mean, we're going to be promoting Becca's channel multiple times throughout this video. There's probably been a link already, but honestly, do head over, do check out her stuff, because it is high quality content of a good variety, which is always nice.
Thanks, my love.
It's all right. I speak the truth. You're not paying me to say this because we've both got no money because we're unemployed actors.
Don't even go there.
Well, which segues nicely into, of course, like myself, you are an actor. I mean, that is where we met, at drama school at Lipper, which I'm sure we'll come on to later, because I'm sure people want to know some memories we've had over the years. But so in terms of acting then, I mean, again, anyone listening who's an aspiring actor, I think it's fair to say, and right to say, you know, it's not by any means an easy industry to crack into. A lot of it does rely on blind luck half the time, you know, what you look like, what you sound like, which you could argue, you know, should it be that way? Probably not, but that is just how it is at the minute.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's all about who you know as well.
Oh yeah.
I know that a lot of the work I've had in the last couple of years has been found through people that I've worked with before. And yeah, I may have auditioned, and yeah, I guess in a way the pressure was kind of taken off because I knew I was a bit more aware of who I may be working for. But yeah, it is very much who you know, being in the right place at the right time. It's a tough industry, but it's a very rewarding one when you are able to meet great people and work.
Yeah, and what would you What would you say? What was the spark that got you? What? Because we've all got our moment when they say like the bug bit us, if you like, where we were like, yeah, this is what I want to do. What was that spark or bug bite for you?
Oh, that's a really difficult question actually, because I feel like I had a few moments that really sort of reminded me or told me that this is what I want to do. One of those was actually in high school. I wasn't very good at drama to begin with, and I was about 13, 14 years old, about to pick my options for GCSEs, and my drama teacher at the time said, you should do the BTEC in acting. I think you'd be really good at it. I think you, like, that could be where you sort of blossom. I said, really? Me? I thought, are you joking? She said, no, I mean it. And I really trusted her judgment, and I knew that it wasn't coming from a place of, I just want you to do my course and my lessons and things. And so I trusted her and I did it. And I suddenly found that I had a real passion for storytelling in those 2 years of doing BTEC acting. So that was definitely a moment that I think it was knowing that my teacher had seen potential in me and she told me.
Yeah.
And then he later told me that I failed my first assessment, so I had to redo it later on. And he said, so that's why I had to redo it.
Right.
But she said, the improvement you've made in 2 years is incredible. So I was like, well, thank you. So that was one. And I think the other one was I did the Manchester stage experience for 5 years, which is a 2-week sort of experience really, where you get to put a show together in 2 weeks and you perform it at the Palace Theatre. It was occasionally at the Opera House in Manchester as well. And the idea of it is that you gain knowledge and understanding of what it could be like to work as an actor or performer professionally.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people that went that didn't really get it. I think they were just there to sort of try something new, which is completely fine. But for me, that was something that I really looked forward to. Like, come the 5th year, I'd worked my way up each year to having a main role. And suddenly being able to sing in front of nearly 2,000 people, singing a solo song on my own on that stage was like, oh my God. And I remember opening night, Footloose, the 5th year I'd done it. I was about to go to Lipper. I went on and I was playing Vi, which is the Reverend's wife. And I sang Can You Find It in Your Heart, which for the most part, I actually sung to my friend Michael Twigg, who was playing the Reverend. And I remember looking at him and he looked like he was going to cry.
Bless him.
And then there's a moment where I just sung like the sort of last half of the song on my own to the audience. And I remember coming off afterwards and bursting into tears almost straight away. And I just went, this is why I do this. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And it was such like I was at the peak of an emotion there, and I was feeling so much adrenaline and passion for what I was doing. So I think that again, that was definitely one of those moments where I was like, wow, okay, this is serious now. I want to do this for real.
It's like a proper cemented moment by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. It was yeah, it was really special actually. And I've got such a personal connection to the Palace Theatre as well, where I performed. So it was sort of added to that experience, definitely.
Yeah. And before we get into like, our time at drama school, which might be its own section, and then like beyond, I mean, as you make no secret, you're a working class Mancunian, born and bred.
Yeah.
Be proud of that, gal. Be absolutely proud of that.
I am.
But
I'm very proud of
obviously, in this industry, you could argue more so in the past, but still today, there is a lot of talk about how those in the working class, particularly those from the north, are restricted in like the opportunities in the industry, whether that's based on sadly so, but whether that's based on people's race or background. Like, so as a working class Mancunian finding their way in this industry, how have you sort of found it over the several years you've been doing it? Has it gotten better in that sense, or is it still sort of
I think in some ways it has gotten better, mainly in the Northwest. A lot of the work that is produced within the Manchester theatre scene is very working class orientated, and that's because we are a majority working class area. However, I think the arts in England and the UK on the whole is very much middle class still. There was a funny TikTok video going around the other day of this girl doing an impression of every northern working class actor in a musical.
I saw that,
ever.
yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna steal your money," and and it was hilarious, but it was also like, oh God, like that's how we're always portrayed.
Yeah.
And it's a shame really, because there are some incredibly talented writers that are working class. There are some incredibly talented performers, and I just don't think that they've had their moment to truly shine yet.
Sure.
I mean, maybe in like regional theatre and TV and that kind of thing. I know it's like that's why soaps are great in one respect, because for example, Coronation Street, you get to see a lot of working class people that are being represented in a way that not many other TV shows do. So yeah, I do think in some ways it's gotten better, but I think we've still got quite a long way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, isn't it? Like, a lot of people do say that, like, oh, but it has gotten better. Like, they insist, like, it has. But then a lot of the times it is like you say about it's the stereotypical stereotypes. Oh, if it's like a northern working class character, they're either like a really bad person or like they're disingenuous. Which, if anyone's like lived or worked around working class northern people, it's not true. It's just like it's simply not true. And you could argue there's bad apples like that in all walks of society. And
oh God, yeah. I think we're not angry people by nature. I think that's something that the industry needs to realise. We can be very proud. Absolutely. I'm very proud of where I come from. I'm very proud of Manchester as a city and what we do as a city. But I think, often they paint us as being quite sort of angry northerners that really like chips and gravy. I mean, I do like chips and gravy, to be fair. Do you know what I mean, though? It's,
Yeah. So when you were, 17, 18, applying for drama school, which again, I mean, I'll disclaim it first for anyone who's out there, maybe of that age who wants to be an actor. If you don't get a place, you don't need to go to drama school. Not these days, I'd argue. Like, there's so many avenues, and some of the biggest stars at the minute. The one that pops to mind is Sheridan Smith, of course, who never, I think, did. I think she did like, Saturday drama, but she never went to drama school or anything like that. And she's one of the best actresses we've got in the country. But exactly. So when you were 17, 18 applying for drama school, I know at least for me, someone who admittedly is a bit more leaning to the middle class, admittedly, but still for me as a 17, 18-year-old from the north, the prospect of drama school was quite daunting at first. I viewed it as this very... Obviously, there are schools outside of London, but my head was like, oh, well, they're all in London. It's all in the south, and you've got to talk, like this, or that sort of RP thing. So that was my experience at first. When you came to that stage of your life, like, right, I'm going to apply for drama school, did you face any of that sort of, oh God, did you sort of feel out of place in that element, or did you just go for it regardless?
Well, I'm definitely what you would call a grafter. So if I want something, I will go and get it, and I'll work hard in the way to wherever I'm going. And when I was at college, I went to Pendleton College, which is one of the top like performing arts colleges in the Northwest. And I did musical theatre. And one of the things that sort of reoccurred throughout my training was the mention of drama schools. So come the time of auditioning, I was very much prepared for sort of what might be at each drama school, especially some of the bigger ones like Guildford School of Acting, ArtSed, Mountview, that kind of thing. They were the ones that our college really favoured. And, you know, rightly so, because they're brilliant and they've got brilliant musical theatre courses. But it was at that time that I sort of went, right, I need to make a decision here because I'm not the best dancer. So do I stick with musical theatre or do I go with acting courses? So I sort of did a mix. I did a mix of auditions, and I didn't actually get in to drama school the first year of auditioning, which I wasn't really disheartened by at all. It was ironic, really, because the first drama school I went to was purely accidental, due to my first one being rescheduled. It was Lipper. So I went in, and you've got all these really lovely people, really down to earth and welcoming, really northern. Obviously, you had people from everywhere, all over the world, and I felt very at home and very welcome. And I was completely in awe of the building. And I remember coming out that day, and I cried. I was like, oh my God, I love it here. It's so amazing. And I think somewhere in my subconscious, I sort of then knew that that was somewhere I could see myself going. Every audition after that, there were certain ones where I definitely felt like they were aware of my background. There were certain ones that I didn't really feel that, and it wasn't so much of a problem. But I never let it sort of get me down, because I thought, well, I'm representing quite a lot of people by coming here and auditioning and eventually training somewhere. So it was that thing of, I've got nothing to be ashamed of. So I was aware of it when it happened sometimes, but I never let it affect me, because I was like, I know what I want to achieve.
So the bottom line is, be a grafter and be proud of who you are.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're upper class, middle class, working class, whatever. It does not make any difference. What matters is your passion. And if you want something, go and get it. Just work hard to get there. And I mean, that's exactly what I did. And that's what we all did. Like, you know, everyone that got into Lipper or any drama school worked really hard to get there. And I think it's really admirable, actually, because a lot more hard work goes into you know, acting and performing than people think. And that definitely shines through in the audition process at drama school.
Yeah, because I think we've both sat on the other side. Lipper did one thing where third years and graduates were allowed to sort of sit on the panels, not really to give. We never cast judgment on who should be in or out. It was more of a health and safety thing. But it's so interesting, isn't it, watching applicants come in, and you can just instantly tell, like you say, who's put the work in and who's just learned it the day before and walked in. Yeah.
That's the thing. You just have to be prepared. It's Absolutely. Like if you deliver a monologue and you're then redirected by somebody on the panel, if you're not open and available to what they're going to say, you're going to freeze and you're going to really panic and not be able to do what they ask.
Yeah.
So you need to be prepared for that. There's so many things that you have to be prepared for, and you just have to be willing to take on board what they say.
Yeah, completely. So, I mean, again, anyone who does auditions and stuff, yeah, please don't learn it the day before, because it will show. It will absolutely show. And it makes me want to ask you, you don't have to say who it was for or the company or whatever, but what's the worst audition experience you've ever had?
Oh, God.
Whether that was like in yourself or how it was organized and ran, like just, you know, those auditions where you come out and go, ah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a difficult question. I do have a few different scenarios in mind, but there's one that it was probably the worst / the most difficult. So me and my friend from Manchester went to the Dear Evan Hansen open call, which was at the dance house in Manchester, and we had to get there really early in the morning. So I'm talking like way before 7 o'clock. Like we meant business. Like we definitely wanted to be seen that day.
Yeah.
So we got into the queue, and like we had some like our flasks with us. We were all kitted out with everything that we might need. And I'd not had very much to eat that morning. I think I'd had like a yogurt or something.
Right.
Just to sort of, give me enough energy to do what I needed to do, because I don't deal well with having a lot of food when I'm out to do an audition. So we were in the queue, and we knew that it was going to be starting around probably 9 o'clock. That was when they were going to start letting people in. And it was about 8:15, and I started feeling really, really poorly, like really sick, like I was going to throw up at any minute. And I thought, this isn't nerves. This is like, because I suffer really badly with acid reflux. I thought, this is acid reflux. And I said to my friend, I said, I feel like I'm going to be ill. I said, I don't know what to do. So I said, I am actually going to have to pop into this little cafe here, just to like, go and use the toilets and everything. Anyway, goes in, I threw up multiple times, came out, my eyes were bloodshot, all my makeup had nearly come off. I was looking like a bloody ghost. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And my friend was like, are you all right? I said, no, I'm really not. So he goes in, and we were all sort of sitting in this big studio, and there was quite a lot of people that we knew there because it was in Manchester. It was really nice, and I was having a laugh with people because that's just me. That's what I like to do, and it sort of makes everyone feel very calm. So I was, having a bit of a laugh with people. And the song that I'd been rehearsing, I'd learned especially for that audition. So I had no knowledge of that song prior to this weekend, because we did the audition on the Monday. So that weekend before that, I didn't know the song. Anyway, queues up outside the audition room, goes in, and there was loads of separate audition rooms. So this lady was sitting in front of me, quite young, really pleasant, and there was a pianist as well. They asked what song I was singing. So I told them 32 bars, okay? Yeah. 32 bars is not a long time. It's about a minute of a song. Start singing the song, and I was like, this is not going well. Like, it sounds fine, because I can hear myself. It sounds fine, but it's not great.
Okay.
And got to the end, and there's at the end of this particular song from Ghost, it goes, come what may, nothing stops another day. And then it does it again. But I didn't know whether we were going to do it again or not.
Right.
So I was there like, okay, I need to watch the pianist for this bit. I need to see what he's doing. So I was like, come what may, nothing stops another day. I thought, right, just go for it. And I went, come, oh, okay. Because he stopped. And I was like, oh my God.
Okay.
And the worst thing was, I forgot to mention that before I'd actually sung through it, I'd gone to start and froze because I'd just completely gone blank. And the girl noticed it straight away, and she was like, "Don't worry, take your time. Let's go for it again." But my brain was just, I think, because of everything that had happened in the lead up, my brain had just kind of got a bit frazzled.
Yeah.
So I came out, and my friend was stood there, and I literally just went, "Look, can we just go?" And she was like, it was fine. You did really well. Da, 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 da. And I was like, you've got to say that because you're my friend. It was that thing of, oh God, like that was just not what it should have been.
That wasn't the one.
No. So yeah, that was probably my worst. Yeah, I was really poorly for the rest of the day as well. Oh.
Yeah, we've all had them. Just to, because people asked me if not, but for my worst one, I'd say it was 2019. So this is pre the world ending, which seems like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the company, which is probably for the best, but it was for a pantomime audition. This was in like April, because for anyone who doesn't know, panto's like cast way in advance because they have to. But it was down in, it was like a 4-hour train journey from Liverpool, like really far down. And you know, it was saying, oh, it's like the funny side character, and if you got it, it'd be like this much a week. And as jobbing actors do, folks, you do tend to just do those ones if you think it's worth the train ticket, because, well, why not? It's work. So I traveled 4 hours there, like Liverpool to London, then I had to go from King's Cross, get the tube to Waterloo, get the train from Waterloo, another hour to somewhere else, to some random ass village down south. Went in, and they'd asked us to prepare a speech, like a monologue of our choice, and 2 songs. And it said on the application, it said, you will be asked to do all of this, because for anyone who doesn't know, sometimes at auditions, you know, they'll ask you to prepare stuff, and then you'll only say do one thing, won't they? And then they'll be like, right, okay, thank you very much. But generally, if in applications they say, we will see everything, they will see everything. So I prepared all this stuff, which, as you know, Becca, like, you don't just click your fingers and it's there. You practice, and it takes a lot of time. Goes in, did the monologue, that was fine. Right, can we hear your first song? And because they wanted a pop song, it's probably a detriment to my choice. I chose one of the pop songs of the day, which was Havana by Camila Cabello, which as a song I hated. Like, I actually hated the song. But I think in a panto we'd worked together and we'd done that, or I did that song in that panto, and it went down really well, and it was still a big hit of the day. So I thought, yeah, sure, I can sing it, so that'll be fine. And I did it with like, you know, with enthusiasm and all that sort of stuff. But I remember I did that song, and then they were like, right, okay, thank you for coming. And I was like, oh, I've got a second song. They were like, oh, right, well, and you could tell they were flustering to say an excuse. And they went, oh, well, we're a bit short of time, and we were actually running early. And and that was it. And then I had to traipse 4 hours back to Liverpool knowing I hadn't got the job. So it was just a horrible audition. Horrible.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
It's not a very nice feeling when they just sort of not shut you down, but they just sort of very abruptly go, okay, thank you. And it's like,
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of that, then I think we'll get on to our time at drama school together, which is where we met. And we touched upon it briefly in the Sunday catch up, but I guess for anyone who hasn't seen it, we did that thing before we started where people were adding each other on Facebook once we'd somehow sussed out who was going to be in the year. And we'd actually chatted a bit beforehand. And I think you said actually about Doctor Who, which makes, you know, clearly my go-to with everyone. But then, we just sort of hit it off from the get-go as mates, didn't we, at Lipper?
Yeah, I think within the first like month, really, you were like my best mate, and that was it. You remained my best mate up until we became partners.
More than best friends. No, that's true. No, but amazingly at Lipper, I think we only did a couple of shows where we were, well, in the same show, and then in a lot of those shows, I don't think we ever really interacted, because we did a show called Our
Yeah,
Town by Thornton Wilder where we probably shared some scenes, but I don't remember us having any like character moments. And
no.
there was Urinetown, which is a musical, but again, we were both in the ensemble. We were in like the same ragtag band, but again, I don't think we shared like any direct lines to each other, really.
Yeah, not really. I remember though we were really buzzing that we were in a show together, because up until in first year we did Our Town, and then up until Urinetown, which was like our last Lipper show, we hadn't been in a show together.
It's the towns,
so it was,
clearly.
Yeah, it was just, yeah, it was mad, really.
Yeah, but then since we graduated, I mean, we've worked together in pantomime twice now.
Yeah.
Once doing it round schools and once doing it as a Christmas drive-in. And I tell you, folks, doing school stuff is very, very rewarding because you're bringing theatre to the current generation. But some of those kids, I mean,
Oh my God. Oh, I will never forget coming out as Prince Charming and crying because he's really upset that Sleeping Beauty is asleep. And I just saw that, like, there was easily about 200, 300 kids in front of us. And this one kid just went and dabbed. And I was like, as Prince Charming, I was like, oh, well, that's great, isn't it? Everybody dabbed, and I just dabbed, and all these kids did the same thing. And then that one kid kept doing it, and I was like, this is just, it's hilarious, because that's the amazing thing about working with children. You can never preempt what is going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think me and you especially, we're very good at handling that and improvising around it. Yeah, it was really enjoyable. Like, yeah, loved it.
Absolutely. That was when the dab was in. It was also when Fortnite dances were in, which I hated, and I was always upset that I could, because I can't floss. I still can't floss. My brain just doesn't click with it. Yeah, I know, but you got all these kids when I'm doing bloody all the other Fortnite dances, and then kids are going floss, floss, and I'm like, I don't know how. But
I'm gonna have to teach you. I'm gonna have to teach you how to floss.
Many have tried. It's something in my brain, that my brain just doesn't, because when I watch people, I get it. I get like how you swing your arms with your body and all that, but there's just something about doing it in practice. My brain just doesn't click. It just doesn't do it. It's very difficult, but
it's not.
it guys, back me up. You have to leave in the comments if it is difficult. I'd say it's very difficult, but yeah, and I mean, you're no stranger to my madness over the years, and all the stuff I've, from not watching, she's rolling her eyes, all the stuff I've done on YouTube. And I suppose one of the biggest factors, and you got asked a bit on the Sunday catch up, is of course Doctor Who, which to any couples or partners, if you have one person who's really into it and then maybe someone who's not that into it, some people might be like, oh, that's a bit much, isn't it? But you're a Doctor Who fan, aren't you?
Yeah, of course I am. I I don't mind at all that you're like an avid Doctor Who fan. I really like Doctor Who as well, and I think we have really interesting chats sometimes about Doctor Who, and it's nice in a way, because obviously I'm not quite as much of an avid fan as you are. I still love it as a program. I still love it, but still not quite at the level you're at. But yet we can have really interesting conversations about it, and it's just a nice thing.
I suppose I'll ask, just because there will be portions of people who are curious. But first, what was your Doctor Who journey? Was it like many of us that started with the revival? Or?
Yes, it was. Christopher Eccleston. Yeah. Oh, he's amazing. He's my favourite Doctor as well. And I actually stopped watching Doctor Who when it got to, it was part way into Matt Smith's era. I stopped watching it, and it wasn't out of choice. It was purely because of the circumstance that I was in. Right. And then I didn't watch it then for a good few years. It was actually one of my exes that sort of said to me, like, do you like Doctor Who? And I said, well, yeah, I do. He said, oh, have you watched them all? And I said, no. And he said, well, okay, why? And like, where did you stop? I actually stopped watching it just part way into the Matt Smith era, just because of the circumstances at the time. And I didn't want to stop watching it. It was just something that I didn't really have the time for. So my ex-partner was like, right, you need to watch it. You need to sort of catch back up from where you finished watching it last. So I did, and I had the luxury of sort of binge watching nearly all of Matt Smith's era, and Peter Capaldi's era as well. Peter Capaldi. No.
Yes, he's a lovable old man.
Well, he was good. I think he's just not my favourite.
Well, which is fair enough. I think it is interesting though, because as you say, you got to watch it on on a retrospective basis, whereas like for me, for example, when I watched it live, I think I was also just the time of my life. He was like the right Doctor for that. I always say it's funny, like when I started with Doctor Who, it was like, primary school, and I think Chris and David Tennant's eras were very like catered to that sort of light-hearted imagination, balmy stuff, which is perfect at primary school. Then Matt Smith's era sort of took it up a level in terms of like the concepts and using your brain to think about it, which was good for secondary school. And then when Peter started, I just started Lipper, and it got like really dark, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm ready for this like more serious tone now. So I think maybe that's partly why I love his era so much, just because I resonated with it a lot. But yeah, as you say, it's always interesting to hear how different people journey through it. And I have to ask, because it's something everyone would be curious about, because it's the current thing. What are your thoughts on this current era of Doctor Who with the Yorkshire Queen, Jodie?
I wasn't a huge fan of Jodie when she first started. Not her as an actor, her as the Doctor. I just didn't really connect with her. And then it was Revolution of the Daleks when I suddenly went, oh, okay, like she means business now. Like she's settled into it. And yeah, I really enjoyed her performance in that. And I think after watching that, I suddenly went, yeah, right, I like you now.
Oh, good. I've heard a lot of people say that. For some reason, it was this New Year special that really said to them, like, right, we're there now. But it's different time for everyone, isn't it? I mean, at the time of recording, it is, and this is the downside of pre-recording, it is just a rumour. It's like, oh, is she leaving? Is she not? I mean, by the time this comes out, it might be confirmed or denied. But for the purposes, imagine, listeners, we're back to the end of January when it's all unknown. But who would you, like, because there's been some certain names bandied about, as potential replacements, people like Tiana Miller, Lydia West, Michael Sheen, Olivia Colman, people like that. And I mean, what would your take be for the next, or if sorry, if not like a specific person comes to mind, this is me rambling, you're used to this. If it's not a specific person that comes to mind, what would you want to see in a new Doctor, let's say?
I would like to see a little bit more scatty intelligence. That's something that I don't really get from Jodie.
Okay.
And I do think that that's largely because of the choices she's made. It's very much, it feels a little bit more emotional with Jodie. And I think that's because of the sort of northern, like, this is my fam, Like, do you know what I mean? There's something very sentimental and hearty there.
Yeah.
But I want to see a little bit more sort of scatty, the intellectual side a little bit more. I'm thinking similar to actually to Matt Smith in a way, because he had that kind of scatty nature about him. I do think though that with Matt Smith especially, by the end, it got quite sort of samey in some ways.
Sure.
I think there wasn't much turbulence in his journey. He tended to opt for the same acting choices, which I'm, yeah.
And that's something I mean, for anyone saying like that's a weird way to go at it, as actors, you do just end up saying, oh, well, they're making this choice and that, because it's pretty much ingrained in us to think about choices and
exactly
all that sort of stuff. I have to ask, would you ever do it if you were offered?
What, play the Doctor?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, of course, I'd be stupid not to, really, wouldn't I? But I think I would probably want to be a companion more than I would the Doctor.
That's fair. Is there any specific reason for that, or?
I think knowing my own skill set, really, I think it would be easier. Not easier, actually, but it would play to my strengths if I was the companion. Not that I wouldn't love playing the Doctor, because I would, but that's your job.
Hey, now it won't be for many years, because they've had 12 white men in the role, and quite rightly there should be other types of people to do it, and that's fine with me.
I would really like to see somebody potentially with some sort of I'm not sure how to put it. Someone that's from a minority.
Okay.
I would love to see them play the Doctor. I would like to see somebody that is underrepresented in the arts play the Doctor. Whoever that is, don't know yet, but that's what I would like to see.
I like it, and just because I mean, you are a woman, of course.
I am.
And it's just something I've asked. Well, I think on all the female guests on AMTV Radio when Doctor Who's come up, because I do find it fascinating. Obviously, when Jodie was cast, obviously it was this whole the first female Doctor sort of thing. As a woman and an actress yourself, or an actor, I should say, seeing a role like that, that's been going for 50 plus years, is like rooted in British culture. It's like, some would argue it's like the pinnacle of a British acting role to take that part, to now be played by a woman. What did that make you feel, or like how did that impact you? Especially because I think when Jodie was cast, we just graduated from LIPA as well, so you were just venturing into the industry. Like, how did that, how did it make you feel?
I felt very proud to be a woman when I found out that Jodie was playing the Doctor, and not only that, but to be a Northern woman. I think it was a really, it was a huge step forward, and there was a load of fans that were like, "Oh, I don't think Jodie's gonna be very good." Blah, 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 blah,
oh, they're still there. They're still there.
Oh yeah, and it frustrates me, because if they were avid fans of Doctor Who, they would know that Doctor Who, of course, is neither male or female. So it doesn't matter what body they take on next. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a really nice way to sort of shift things up by having not only a female, but to have a Northern female.
Oh yeah, Northern females represent. Yeah. That's what we want to see. Oh, blimey. Well, there you go, Doctor Who fans. You've had Becca's full lowdown there on the show. But I mean, again, I don't know if anyone listening or watching this is, in the creative field, wants to be an actor or work in the industry to some degree. But one thing I do like to ask different creatives who have been through a process that we have is, if, say, I was 17, 18 now, who was about to venture into this mad world of acting and the performance industry. From your own experiences, what advice would you give to an aspiring actor today?
I would say know what your skill set is, know what your quirks are, know what you can bring to the table that not many other people can bring, and be confident in those things. However you can find that confidence, obviously, is your doing, but find those things that you're really good at and use them to your advantage, because it will take you further. Yeah, I would just say that, and just work hard. Like I said before, if you want something, you go at it like a bull in a championship.
Grafter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, should we answer some questions?
Yeah.
These were questions from the Sunday catch-up that you did, which, again, if anyone hasn't seen it, go and check it out. That was a great time. So this is from the Unexpected, who has 2 questions. Okay. We've already sort of touched on it, but we can go over it again. So it was, what got you interested in acting? And that's for both of us. I know for me, it's so cliche. It was honestly Doctor Who. It was watching Christopher Eccleston and being like, because obviously I think, as kids, you're aware of what acting is. It's like, it's people pretending to be other people in a very general sense. But I think it was seeing him do what he did as the Doctor that made me think, wow, like, how imaginative can this thing be? And I want to do that. So that was honestly, it may sound cliche because I'm a Doctor Who fan, but that was honestly the big thing for me that was like, yeah, I want to try this. And I know you sort of touched on it, about how you got into acting. So how do you want to answer this?
Well, I guess I can delve into something slightly different, but also it did feed into why I wanted to become an actor. So my mum has worked at the Palace Theatre in Manchester for 20-something years, 23 years, something like that. And so basically for most of my life, and I grew up in that theatre. And I think when I was younger, especially, I had no real interest in sort of performing. However, there was always that sort of streak in me that was very creative. And, I did sing when I was younger. I sang, at home and things like that. I played instruments, that kind of thing. But it was always subconsciously in my mind that I was in the theatre a lot. And so I kind of understood what went on backstage. I understood what went into a show, what went on in front of house of a theatre, that kind of thing. And I loved it. I loved it from the moment I went in there, and some of my earliest memories are in the theatre. So, yeah, I think that kind of, when I made the choice to start training as an actor, or as a performer, should I say, it suddenly made a lot of sense, because I'd always been around it. And it was something I was very comfortable with. So yeah.
There you go. Oh, I love a good story. Grew up in the theatre. Full disclaimer: Becca didn't live in the theatre. She had a house to go to, but
I wasn't like Harry Potter or anything, where I was like under the stairs in the theatre. It was nothing like that.
Absolutely. I mean, I just read the other question was for me, but I can extend it out to you as well. It was, what got you interested in the Now music series? And I mean, I think now we can say for our generation, and probably the generation before us, has just sort of always been there. Like, it always, you'd see ads on TV, or like you'd walk in the supermarket and it'd be like, oh, it's now 346 is out, so for me, I think it was just when I finally clocked what it was, and when I really got into like chart music, that's when I jumped on board. Did you ever have any Now CDs back in the day, or?
Not that I can remember, but maybe a Disney one.
Yeah, they had a few Disney spin-offs. Yeah.
I do recall potentially having like a Disney one at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I say, I think it's just, I mean, it's now, it's just there, and it will just be there forever. We've got some from Princewell IDK who says, Death Note or Doctor Who. Well, for me, it's Doctor Who. Do you know what Death Note is?
No, so I'm going to say Doctor Who.
So it's an anime, I believe, Death Note, which I haven't watched. But and then, what is your opinion on Channel 4?
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't. I mean, at the time of recording, you haven't watched It's a Sin yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God! So It's a Sin, right? Is I mean, by the time this comes out, I'm sure a lot of you would have watched it. But if you haven't, I would recommend. It's very good, first and foremost.
You've recommended it to me a couple of times now, and I do definitely want to check it out at some point.
Yeah, just prepare yourself emotionally, folks. You will feel a whole gamut of emotions when watching it.
I mean, I cry at nearly everything anyway, so.
Oh, you're going to be causing bloody Noah's Ark 2 floods with you. And are you excited about John Bishop joining Doctor Who for the new season? Yeah. I don't think we discussed it on the pod, but I think my only gripe was, like, I'm very much of the don't knock him till you see him sort of thing.
Oh God, yeah, 100%.
My dad made this point, which I found interesting, which is a lot of the times Doctor Who has been, especially with the companion role, has been a role where sort of new talent gets the chance to shine. A lot of the companions before they were cast were relatively unknown, you could argue. I mean, yes, you had the odd, like, a Bradley Walsh or a Matt Lucas or a Catherine, people who were known. And I'm not saying you can't have them, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's just after Bradley Walsh as well. Yeah, but that was my only gripe with it.
Yeah, I do understand that. I mean, like every part, people have got to audition for it. So John Bishop has obviously done a really good job, good enough to get the job in Doctor Who as a companion. So, I mean, yeah, I don't really have any major qualms about it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We've got some from Robo Dwarf the Time Lord 101. What a name! The question for you is, what's your favorite Marvel film?
Oh my God, that is such a difficult question.
You have seen them all, though, haven't you? All of the MCU so far, yeah.
I have seen them all. Oh God, that's a really difficult question.
It is, isn't it?
I really liked Infinity Wars. I'm trying to think now. I'm really excited for the Black Widow film, to be honest.
Yeah, that should have been out by now, but then the world stopped.
Yeah, I'm not sure really. I really like Civil War. Yeah, I like a lot of them for various different reasons, so it's very hard for me to pick a favourite.
That's completely fair. I noticed you've left one for me, Robo Dwarf. I will save that for a regular Sunday catch up, as this is Becca's guest appearance. One for both of us though was Robo Dwarf says they'd like to see Jodie's Doctor go more how the Seventh Doctor, so Sylvester McCoy, did towards the end of his run, which was a bit more darker, a bit more manipulative. What do you think about that? And and also, which direction would you take Jodie's Doctor in, if not that direction? So
I think that direction could work very well, because I think Jodie is a very talented actress, and I think that she could definitely go there if she wanted to. So yeah, I would definitely say that direction.
Yeah, I'd probably say the same. I mean, a lot of people are calling for it already, and who knows? But I think it's this angle, because I mean, Sylvester McCoy towards the end of his time, you know what he's like. He's a fun little guy, and like a lot of his earlier stuff was a bit more light-hearted and jovial. But then towards the end, he's very like manipulative, and like in the sense, like he'll see events before they happen, and he'll sort of use his companions to meet those events, it's not like necessarily horrible, but it gives a scope that he's, you know, how powerful as a character he really can be. And I'd like to see Jodie sort of exhibit that a bit. That'd be quite cool. But was there one more from there? Yes. Robert Dwell Forcer says, what is so from Christopher Eccleston onwards, what is the best Doctor Who theme of the revived series, of the theme tune? I'm trying to remember them all now.
I honestly wouldn't. I'd have to sit down and listen to them all.
I mean, they all go ooh-ee-oo, so...
Yeah.
I mean...
I can't answer that question right now.
That's fair. It's a big question. It's a big question. I think those are all the questions we've had in the comments there. So, Becca, thank you for answering them. I hope everyone who did ask them is happy with those answers. And I'll get you back on a Sunday catch-up sometime soon, or whatever it is now, after I've wound it down after 100 episodes. But yeah, you'll pop up on the channel again. Absolutely. Probs, most likely, definitely, absolutely. I've got no doubt about it. Well, we have surpassed an hour, and I think we shall start to wrap things up. But this is the time, Rebecca Phythian. You know how this works. Anything you want to shout out? Plug it now.
Okay, you should go and follow my theatre company, Blue Balloon Theatre. They are at Blue Balloon MCR on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we are on YouTube as well. You can find the link to our YouTube channel through my channel, which leads me nicely onto my channel. Come subscribe. I am Rebecca Phythian, that's PHYTHIAN, on all platforms. Again, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Stay connected with me. I love chatting to people, so drop me a message.
Oh, she does.
I do. Like, genuinely, if you want to watch any of my videos, that'd be great. If you've got any ideas for my channel, like, give me a shout. Like, I'd love to hear what you think. But yeah, that's me. Come say
and
hi.
join. Come and say hello.
Come join me.
Also, if you want to hear a piece of work me and Becca did together, we did in 2020. We did a piece called Back in the Day, which I wrote and originally premiered as part of Blue Balloon's 4th birthday celebrations. There's a few ways you can watch it. The way to watch it on its own, if you head to the Blue Balloon YouTube channel, as Becca said, scroll down. It is there. It's a 15-minute audio drama starring Becca and myself, and it was a real, obviously I can't say it's brilliant because I wrote it, but like, it was, you know, it was a labor of love doing it with you and all that sort of stuff. So
yeah, no, it was really nice actually. We work very well together. And that's not
good,
just it's not just because we've known each other for ages. I just think that we're very good at listening to one another when it comes to acting, and yeah, it was very enjoyable.
Absolutely. And so you can watch it that way, or if you're a Doctor Who fan and you watched Ace Creeper's 12-hour live stream in December for Young Minds, it was part of that as well. But I mean, if you're watching the whole 12-hour thing, great, it's in there somewhere. But if you want to watch it on its own, it is on the Blue Balloon Theatre YouTube channel. And I'm sure we'll be putting out more projects together. I'm sure when things get easier, should we say, at the time of this recording, maybe they already are by the time you're hearing this, but you know, hopefully we'll be able to do some more videos together, actually in person together rather than over Zoom. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I do hope so.
Right, but well, first of all, thank you so much for coming on again, Becca, and coming on the podcast. You know, I wanted to have you on from the beginning. So now you're.
So I've been waiting and
very patiently.
Adam texted me like, "Oh yeah, do you want to come on the podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've been waiting." But no, thank you so much for having me on, and just kudos to you for the amount of hard work that you've put into the rest of them as well. Like, they've all been brilliant.
Bless you, my love. Thank you. And if you want to hear the rest of them, that segues nicely. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. Hello. You can subscribe to this channel if you're new and you like hearing all these sorts of podcasts. Subscribe to Becca's channel, as I said already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Leave your comments down below as well. AMTV Radio, we've got a playlist for season 1 and season 2, which I think by the time you hear this will be almost complete, but there'll be quite a few episodes behind it. So go and check that out. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Google, Apple, any of those platforms, again, thank you very much. Be sure to give us a follow on there. We've got new episodes coming every single week. And yeah, I think that's all my little rundown. So Becca, thank you once again.
Thank you.
And to all of you watching and listening, I will see you in the next one. See you later.
Bye.